one of these before?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, good evening. I'm Sarah Vetter of the library's community engagement team, and thank you for joining us tonight for this reminiscence event, going back and checking out old toys that we grew up with. First of all, I'm going to introduce a good friend of ours, Linda Rock. And for over 30 years, Linda and her husband Jeff have been actively involved in collecting and preserving all things Elgin. The toys she's brought tonight are a small part of this extensive collection, which they're very delighted to share with us this evening. So, Linda?
But Jeff and I, we were asked if we would share some toys. Well, we have no children, so we don't really have old toys sitting around unless they were made or sold in Elgin. So everything that I show you tonight, most of it was made in Elgin or is Elgin related. So it's a little bit different from the rest of the evening. So just bear with us, please. I'm gonna start, and Liz, my good friend Liz is going to show things, walk them around to make it easier. I'm gonna start here. Stuffed toys are always popular, right? Well, this is a special one. This is Coco Kid. The thing about Coco Kid is that it came assembly required. So you got it like this with material, and then you had to stuff it and sew it together. And it was made to advertise the Elgin Nut Margarine Company. And that's advertising on the back. So we think it was a giveaway, probably. And this is probably from we think probably, well, 1921, not we think, because I looked that up. So this is old. So she's in good shape, right? Pretty good shape. So she was 1921, the B.S. Pearsall Company, Butter Company.
Liz is trying to rescue her from
Oh, you want to show her? We do, actually, we have a couple of these, and one of them we have is ripped up. So I think they were loved and used, but this one is in a little better shape.
Ripped up by a cat that we have to feed
Yeah, it
every day of the year.
It was a cat, it wasn't a kid.
You don't
But
have rubber gloves on.
1921 was when this doll was,
God.
and it was used as an advertising piece. Did you want to add anything to that, Jeff?
That's cool.
They came out with, they used it as a logo for the company. This was
stuffed with.
You remember where Sheds was on Route 31? That was where Pearsall was up until the late 30s when he sold it to Sheds.
B.S. Pearsall Company, so. But it is a toy, so it qualifies, because you could use it to play with. That's 1921. That's our oldest piece that we have tonight. Okay. We also have, and these aren't necessarily are in order of a timeline. See if you recognize this logo. Can you see it?
No, I can't. Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Think about toasters.
Yeah. I can barely.
Yes. Toastmaster. This is a toy Toastmaster toaster. And of course, Toastmasters were also made in Elgin. Okay, it's probably, oh, it does say Toastmaster right here, Jeff. Did you know that? Oh. Because I recognized it right away from this symbol, from that logo. It probably had some toast with it too. But this is probably based on the plastic and the color, probably more 60s. Probably.
Missouri, they're in, I want to say Poplar Bluff, Missouri, but some other town.
I like that color.
Yeah. Bread.
Yeah, where's the bread, right? I think it got eaten.
Yeah, it must have.
We'll let Liz do her. Oh, no, go ahead. Okay,
Liz is
all
our
right.
Vanna White.
Vanna, she's Vanna. She is, this is a real collectible toy, if you're a toy collector, right? And this is an Elgin Sweeper.
Oh my gosh.
They were made, this one is probably from the 50s, Jeff says, because this is battery operated, but there are older ones, right, that are wind up.
Late 50s, early 60s.
Okay, heavy duty metal, it's even got the brush on it. Yeah, it doesn't operate because we don't have the battery in it, but
Oh, well,
Pretty cool, yeah.
Does it take regular,
want my
D
money
batteries?
Does it what?
Take D batteries or something?
I don't know what battery it takes.
Have you tried it,
Jeff, have you tried it?
better?
I don't
Savannah?
I don't want to-
Oh,
Sometimes on these battery operated things, you put the battery in
oh, really?
and it'll never work.
Oh, okay.
You know, when you're a toy collector, if they're in a box, that makes it even more collectible, even if it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
shoddy here. But here's the box. It was made by the Nyland Company, and actually, this one was not made in Elgin. It was made in Rockford. But it's an Elgin toy because it highlights the Elgin sweeper. So that's why I brought it.
Yeah. And Linda, weren't sock monkeys fashioned in Rockford too?
Yeah, the sock monkeys, those started in Rockford.
Yeah. They did.
Yeah.
They have big ones there.
Oh, I've been, we took a Christmas photo by the 4-foot
Yeah.
sock monkey.
Could be scary if
A
you.
little frightening, yeah.
It was a company in Elgin, the McKay Company, and it was, and I don't know if I have the address for that.
South,
South Street?
South Street where it kind of dead ends into Walnut. back
Yeah,
in
so
there.
this one actually was made in Elgin. It's
In a garage.
Oh my gosh. Farm Mister. So this one is wind up,
Oh,
and these are kind of hard to find with the guy on top. They disappear, right? So we're lucky to have the farmer still
I
there.
don't suppose we can wind that one up and see how it works?
Sure.
He what?
Oh,
There's a fire.
A fireman? Well, he's got his hay rack. But the fun thing about this, poor Liz, she didn't know what she was getting into. The fun thing about this is you can change out the wagon. It doesn't have to be a hay rack. And they were sold separately. Should we wind it up?
yeah.
This is kind of amazing that it's still an all one piece, because this one is plastic, so. And the wind up, yeah, and the wind up, okay, here we go. That's not bad, not bad at all.
He's still going.
This was sold separately, the wagon, and it has 3 pieces. You can be a grain wagon, a stake wagon, or a hay rack. All you do is change out the sides, and you've changed the wagon. I don't know what a stake, S-T-A-K-E wagon is, but maybe a kid does. I
And
don't
it's
know.
for that, it's for that one, right?
Is that the stake wagon?
Yeah.
Well, that must be the hay wagon.
Yeah, okay.
And
Huh.
then we've got the grain, which makes sense because it's the sides, yeah. So you can
This
take
is so
whatever you-
educational.
It's very cool.
What's that?
So this is so educational.
Isn't it? Yeah. There's a quiz later, so better remember what those are. Okay, now this is my favorite game, and this is from the 30s, and this is pretty rare. And it was actually made in Elgin. It's called the Bambino game. Do you know who Bambino is?
Babe Ruth, yeah.
Babe Ruth, so it's named for Babe Ruth. And I had to look up how you play it, so as Liz walks it around,
Bambino.
I've never
We've
seen
got-
one.
Was this all one toy company or?
no, these were different. This is a different company. I'll tell you what this was. Okay, there's a ball and a bat, and I'll tell you what company, and it's all metal, you can tell it's old. And this one is the Johnson Products
Angle
Company.
it a little.
And it was made in Elgin too.
nice.
The other one
Yeah.
was Nyland, so a different company. What's that?
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And some of them were just out of
Jeff said
out of
the,
homes, right,
Yeah.
Jeff? Couple of them.
This wasn't, but
This one wasn't. Okay, here's how you play it, and I have to read it because it sounded awfully complicated to me. I don't know. You use the bat to hit the ball. You see the bat and the ball there? Across the umpire, and you saw those numbers there? It hits one of the numbers, and then that hits a peg, pushes in a number, and that number tells you whether it was a single, or a double, or a home run, or you were out.
Yeah, really.
Very sophisticated. And then you had the wooden pegs so you could move the players. This was around for a couple of years and there were a couple of variations of it. But this one's like
This
from
was
the
the 30s, you said?
This one is from the 30s.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. I think this is pretty cool that here's the, this is still in the game.
Oh,
And it's the scorecard. Somebody, let's see, Jim and Bob played. They only made it through 8.5 innings. But. This one, we all know Borden's, right? This is cool. Yeah, this is also from the 30s. Metal and wood. There's a guy in there, the milkman. And then, Liz, do you want to carry that around? It's a pool toy. Okay, don't let me forget to take that tractor with me. So that one would be a pull toy.
It's like,
It was not made in Elgin, but I brought it because it's Borden's, you know, and Borden's Condensed Milk Company was.
I wonder if he had it. I wonder
What's
if he
that?
did.
It's Borden's, it's gotta be.
It's gotta be good,
Good.
right?
And Gail Borden,
And Gail Borden Library, there we go, yeah, the
our
same Borden.
namesake.
It was made by the Rich Toys in Morrison, Illinois.
It's beautifully
It
preserved.
is in good shape, yeah. Maybe they didn't have children either.
probably do.
Here's a little guy, just typical of this is made by Tootsie Toys, and, you know, that toy company, but it advertises Joseph Spee's company, Elgin Toyland. This is a semi toy. This is Dexter's, made for Lee Ward's Dress Me doll. So she has no clothes on,
Oh, she's
but you
naked.
bought her so that you could dress, you could make clothes or buy clothes. Kind of a pre-Barbie doll, probably, right? And Jeff, where did you find this version? Here's the black.
Sure it's off eBay.
But it says Lee Ward's on the back of it. But she's got clothes on. She's a little, yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah, so-
offended and I'm gonna turn you in.
Yeah, turn me in. Well, Jeff doesn't know this, but, you know, she's in the package, right? And one of the cats accidentally knocked this on the floor. Well, she fell apart. The rubber band that
This is a good
connected
time
the
to
arms and the head, and she fell all apart. So I spent,
That's a cat we feed every day.
I spent a couple hours putting her back together
Oh,
again,
really?
and stapling it back together, so Jeff would never know, so. Shh, don't tell him.
I
This
do
is
have a
also
lot.
Dexter, made for Lee Ward's. It's made in Japan, it said for Lee Ward's. And both my arms and legs are bendable, so,
He's an awesome
do you wanna,
condition.
yeah,
Awesome
walk him
condition, too.
around? If you're a clown lover, I guess you'd love him.
He's not creepy at all.
Yeah.
He's cute.
No, I'm not freaky.
Yeah,
Cast
Well,
iron toys, and they're still in the box.
Those are not cast iron,
I'm sorry, they're lead.
Oh,
But that's even better, right?
Yeah, don't put it in your
Put it
mouth.
in your mouth, right?
Yeah. It says on the back, K Metal Novelties Manufacturing Company, 685 Lily Street, Elgin, Illinois. So they were made in Elgin.
Uh-huh.
And then the NRA is not the Rifle Association, it's the National Recovery Act, which I had to look up, which was 1933, so during the Depression. And it was an act to support
Huh.
workers.
Okay.
So we can date that to 19.
yeah, those are really good.
Yeah, but nobody used them, they're still in the box. Here's another McKay, you know, where'd he go?
I put him back.
Oh, thank you.
After you
Here's
said you
another
forget.
McKay toy, you know, and they took the Coca-Cola soda
Oh,
fountain. Yeah, it's a fountain, and it actually works. I haven't tried it, but Liz, you wanna walk around, because I'll show you the box. And it shows you, it's a dispenser. You uncap, actually a soda bottle.
I had,
Do you have one of those?
no, I had.
You did? Did you use it?
German.
Oh, it would be. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, you uncap the bottle, push the handle into the bottle, and then you pull the handle down and you dispense the soda.
Hmm.
And last but not least, I think this is so cool. This is an XL toy television. And this is from XL Movie Products, 853 Dundee Avenue, Elgin, Illinois.
Wow.
Anybody have one of these?
At the museum we do.
What's that?
At the museum we do. We just got it.
Do we? Yeah? Well, this one
But it's not as nice as this.
has,
Oh,
actually
a
has,
real?
yeah, it's got a project, a film in it, so you could buy different films.
Wow.
You plug it in. You see
And
that?
it will
What
play the
place is
film.
that?
Is this 50s, Jeff? Yeah. 50s also. And so then on this side, here's the sound and the picture. So it must light up, right? It's a projector is what it is. But it looks like a modern television. Thanks for letting us share what we collect so that we can share it, and then that's our excuse for collecting more. So we appreciate your attention.
Aw, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda. That was great. That was so much. And who knew that all these things came from Elgin, or most of them, not every one of them, but super cool. Thank you for sharing. And in the end, we're going to have some time for everybody to share. So if there's anything you're dying to talk about of toys from your past, hold on just a little bit longer. So I wanted to talk about the teddy bear. Who knows where the first teddy bear came from? The guy, who invented it is from Brooklyn, Morris Mictum. So he and his wife they created stuffed animals, and then he decided to create a stuffed teddy bear that he called Teddy's Bear and dedicated to a U.S. president. Do you know which president and why?
Roosevelt.
Exactly. So the name teddy bear comes from former U.S. President Teddy Roosevelt. He was often referred to as Teddy, which he loathed being called, apparently. The name originated from an incident on a bear hunting trip. So what happened is that all the hunters were competing, and most of them had already shot and killed a bear. However, Teddy Roosevelt had not. So his people evidently found a black bear, and they, after a long chase with the hounds, so they took him and tied him up to a willow tree, and they asked Roosevelt to shoot him, and he refused. But he said it was unsportsmanlike, but then he still deemed that the bear be killed to put it out of its misery. And then this became a topic of a political cartoon by Clifford Berryman in the Washington Post from 1902. While the initial cartoon of an adult black bear lassoed by a handler and a disgusted Roosevelt had symbolic overtones, later issues of that and other Berryman cartoons made the bear smaller and much cuter. So here are some teddy bears through the years. The one in the upper left-hand corner is one just like I had. And I wanted to bring him because he had the whites of the eyes, but they'd all been kind of clipped away, so we just had the black part of the eyes left. But he was well loved like this one. But I moved recently, and he's in one of about 100 boxes that are in storage right now. But this gives you an example of just some other teddy bears through the ages. So, and evidently a bit earlier in 1902 in Germany, the Steiff firm produced a stuffed bear from Richard Steiff's designs. So he exhibited the toy at the Leipzig Toy Fair in March 1903, where it was seen by Herman Bird, who was a buyer for a department store in New York. And he ordered 3,000 of these to be sent to the US. Although Steiff and Mictum were both making teddy bears around the same time, neither would have known about the other's creation due to poor transatlantic communication. So next we're gonna look at dollies. So clay and wood are a few of the materials used to make traditional dolls that were found in the Americas, Asia, Africa, and Europe. But then as the age of industry began and the world changed, so did the way products were made. This not only applied to coal and steel, but to the processes surrounding doll manufacturing too. So doll heads began to be made with refined porcelain and attached to a body made with a different material, usually leather, wood, or a composite. And as processes in manufacturing began to change even more, the 1900s saw dolls made of polymer and plastic, and they skyrocketed in popularity because they were cheaper materials than the previously used leather, wood, and composite. And they also proved to be longer lasting and easier to manufacture. And they made dolls more endurable. And yet more dolls. So suddenly dolls became not only fun, but also affordable and fashionable. Fashion dolls first turned up in the middle of the 1800s, and they were originally constructed out of porcelain. These dolls were made to represent modern fashionable ideals and were closely followed by the Barbie doll, which appeared in 1959. And our friend Glenna is going to talk a little more in depth about the Barbie doll in just a few minutes. And then also, Barbie soon gained competition with the Bratz dolls. Remember those? And action figures came into the market in 2001, and Barbie in the action figures in 1964. So the latest baby dolls, I think we can see one a little better on the previous slide. See that little dark-haired baby in the second from right? They look so lifelike now, it's almost eerie. And the latest baby dolls, such as Baby Alive, eats, drinks, pees, and yes, even poops. So then I wanted to talk about some of the toys we grew up with. Who remembers the Etch-a-Sketch? Oh yeah, that was big. So it doesn't have batteries or connect to a Bluetooth, but it's still iconic and relevant today. How about Light Bright? Yes, I love the Light Bright. I like to make the clown just like it was on the cover of the box. That came out in 1967, and it does use a single 25-watt light bulb to get the glowing effect. How about the Radio Flyer, Little Red Wagon? That was invented in 1917, and the popular little wagon is still beloved today. I did have Zip the Monkey. He was first produced in the 50s with reissues in the 60s and 70s. And he was introduced on the TV show, who remembers this? Howdy Doody. It's Howdy Doody time. And then Tonka, founded in 1946. We were hoping we would have Dennis Roxworthy join us tonight, but it's his bowling night, so he couldn't come. Next time we'll get him, but he has an extensive collection of Tonka toys and bicycles and anything that is truck or roadworthy, right? He's got a really cool collection. He's one of the guys I featured in my open book, Every Life is a Story exhibit, along with Bill Briska and Francella, who are here tonight. So Tonka, yeah, 1946. Didn't everybody's little brother have one of those yellow Tonka mighty dump trucks? And the games, some of the games we grew up with. Yahtzee was invented by Edwin Lowe in 1956. Monopoly was patented in 1935 by Charles Darrow, but there's more to that story. Does anybody know about that? So I have an article that I'll pass around, but it's apparently in 1903, a left-wing feminist called Lizzie McGee patented the board game that we now know as Monopoly, but she never got the credit. Surprise, surprise. So she made $500 when she sold the patent, but then Charles Darrow, who's credited with inventing Monopoly, sold the patent to Parker Brothers and reconfigure it more to like it looks today, and he made hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's kind of an interesting story. The game of operation was created in 1964 by University of Illinois industrial design student John Spinello. and he sold it to famous toy designer Marvin Glass for $500 with a promise of a job after he graduated, a promise that was not upheld. Who remembers Twister? I bet we have some Twister players in our audience here. So that was invented in 1966, and what was it originally called? Anybody know? It was called Pretzel. So I know, Glennie, you love Pac-Woman, right?
Right, Ms. Pac-Man,
Ms.
yep.
Pac-Man, sorry. So Pac-Man came around later. It was created in 1980 by a Japanese arcade game manufacturer. And then also we have in the lower left-hand corner, the card game Snap, and that comes from a long, long time ago. It was invented by Jacques Snap in the 1880s. And then I just decided to put up some pictures of weird and creepy toys who ended up finding someone to love them. And I have to admit, some of the clowns in my collection look like the ones pictured here. But those what are they called? The ones that sit on the knee?
Oh, the ventriloquist.
Dummies.
Ventriloquist.
Ventriloquist dummies, and yeah,
Charlie
they're
McCarthy.
Charlie McCarthy, that's right. They're pretty freaky. So that's that, and with that, I am going to bring up the lovely and talented Glenna Gudinski, who is our life enrichment manager here at the library. Here we have Barbie Millicent Roberts, and her birthday was March 9 of 1959, her birthplace, the New York Toy Fair. But of course, she wants us to know that she's really from the fictional Willows, Wisconsin. So here she's pictured with her inventor, Ruth Handler, who was the co-founder of Mattel Inc. And I love this quote. It came from Ruth's 1994 biography. "My whole philosophy of Barbie was that through the doll, the little girl could be anything she wanted to be. Barbie always represented the fact that a woman has choices." Barbie's namesake, as you may know, was Ruth's daughter Barbara. And then pictured here is the Handler family. Take a close look at both kids' names, Kenneth and Barbara. So, a little odd that we now move into first love when we had the brother and sister names there, but anyway, we'll skip past that. They both deserve namesakes, right? So we're gonna see if we can get our video to play here. This was the 1961 commercial for Barbie and Ken.
It all started at the dance. Barbie, the famous teenage fashion model doll by Mattel, felt that this was to be a special night. And then it happened. She met Ken. And somehow she knew that she and Ken would be going together. So now Mattel brings you Ken, Barbie's boyfriend, with a complete wardrobe of perfectly tailored clothes of unmatched quality. Now Ken and Barbie meet for lunch at school, go to fraternity parties, and just relax together. Think of the fun you'll have taking Barbie and Ken on dates, dressing each one just right. You'll find Ken wherever toys are sold. Look for this special tag that tells you he's a genuine Ken. Get both Barbie and Ken and see where the romance will lead. It could lead to this. And remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
So ladies, look for the genuine Ken. Yes.
Don't accept any imposters.
That's right. And then we have pictures of how the couple fared throughout the decades. We move into the jazzy 1970s. Get a load of her hair, which comes all the way down to her ankles. And of course there was the brush to brush through the beautiful silken locks. And then also don't miss the acid washed. That was my era, 1980s Ken with his jeans and the striped shirt. I think I owned that striped shirt and matched my Barbie, just saying. And then we moved into the 90s where, you know, the couple has probably just finished watching Barbie the Purple Dinosaur. And of course now we've moved forward to become complete hipsters. So there we go. Kind of fun to see the evolution.
So Barbie and Ken are everyone, and they can be anything. They became multicultural, and they also started to incorporate all sorts of life situations. So we have Barbie, who's going through chemotherapy. We have Barbie, who is a race car driver sponsored by McDonald's. And we have Ken going off to sign up to enlist in the services. All sorts of things happen in Barbie and Ken's lives until the breakup. Dun, dun, dun. Who remembers the breakup in 2004? Oh, be still my heart. So what happened was the newspapers pretty much assigned the split to Ken's failure to commit and Barbie's excitement to commit, wearing multiple wedding gowns. This was too much for Ken, and it was also the year that Barbie decided to run for president, so she was pretty busy anyway. And coming soon, July 21 of 2023, I'm actually really excited to go see this movie. Did everyone know this movie is coming out? Do you know the premise behind the movie? Have you heard about it yet? It was my son's girlfriend who filled me in. She's got the scoop. So the story is that Barbie and Ken, as dolls, have aged out of being dolls. They've gone through all the decades that we just looked at, and enough is enough. Boom, they become real life people, and now have to function in society, being dropped in from the background that they had. So I think this sets up an interesting story. I would love to catch it at a drive-in theater. There's still one up in McHenry that I may, try to
It's a
get
rated
some-
MA.
What's that?
Is it rated MA?
That's a good question. That I don't know. In fact, I'm not even sure it has its rating yet, but we shall see, we shall see.
I think
So
we need
kind of
like
fun.
rated X to get people to go to see it.
Well, next, moving on to a little bit about Fisher-Price. So that company was founded in 1930 during the Great Depression, and you can see the names of the folks that were involved in the founding of that company. Interestingly, Fisher-Price has been a wholly owned subsidiary of Mattel since 1993, so there's our connection to Barbie, which was Mattel, and now Fisher-Price is a subsidiary of Mattel. All of the toy companies that started off pretty much as the mom and pop versions of toy makers have turned into these gigantic, colossal corporations that have swallowed up other corporations. So the very first Fisher-Price toy was Dr. Doodle in 1931. We have a picture of what he looked like. And then, keeping with the same theme that we saw with the things that Linda was demonstrating, these are the pull-behind toys, where you're given a toy and given a task, and that's what you do. Until the early 1950s, when the little people came into the bus for Fisher-Price, and initially they were fixed. They were just a pull-behind toy. But in 1959, they changed things up. And I claim this for my entire generation of Gen X. This is why we are the way we are, right here. It's these little people. Because what happened was, the parents were off doing their thing, and they left us with these toys, and they said, here you go. And we started thinking, what are we gonna do with these toys? And so we stopped following rules, and we started creating our own society. And here you go, you can blame it all on Fisher-Price. That's my theory. Did anybody experience life growing up with some of these?
Oh, yeah.
I know that the farm that you see in the bottom left-hand corner there used to terrify me because you'd open the barn doors and it would make a cow moo.
Yes,
Exactly,
yes,
and the
yes.
moo sound was terrifying to me as a little kid. I don't know why. But yes, I can say that only child, I had a lot of time spent playing with these toys by myself. Fisher-Price toys always imitated adult life. So we have the phone, the radio, the clock, musical instruments, everything. And we have another little commercial to watch here. Can anybody sing the Digger the Dog song? Who knows it? I think you know it, right? Okay,
Feel
here
free
we
to sing
go.
along.
is your dog for sure. Today, Hasbro owns Nerf, Tonka, Parker Brothers, and Kenner. And you can see the orange ball. How many people were pummeled by that ball at some point in their lifetime by either a crazy sibling, cousins, children, etc. Nerf stands for Non-Expanding Recreational Foam. That was news to me. I had never even questioned what Nerf meant, but now we all know. And again, the Tonka truck, the game of Who, the hidden identity, just a lot of fun. Good childhood memories. And now, what was your favorite toy? We would love to hear. What sorts of things did you grow up playing with and that you just love today?
Saturday morning, I had put a white sign on them that said free to a good home. And I thought, you know what, I really need to look into this. So I went upstairs and I Googled the name Wonder Horse. And would you believe there were on Etsy and all those other programs that one of the prices was $395. And so I raced outside trying to get it.
Yeah, thank God the scrap metal guy didn't get them.
Yeah, he's had a tough time. We had a lot of grandchildren, boys, and so they treated it a little rougher than the girls.
Thank you, Joe.
This is Alfie, and he's made by Play School, which he didn't mention.
That's right, we left it for you.
But, Play School was down on North Avenue in Chicago, and I was an engineer that worked on him. He's got a built-in microprocessor. He bought 1970, probably one of the first toys that had a microprocessor built in. And the lady on the phone said, I'm from Play School and we're looking for an electrical engineer. And I said, wait a minute. Play School wants an electrical engineer, why? So she finally convinced me to come down, and Alfie was one of the first things we worked on. Actually, that's Alfie 1. We had Alfie 2 and Alfie 3. You can see Alfie is very sturdy. He doesn't have any small parts at all. And so it was a big thing, and probably still is. But Alfie is a robot, and come on. Or if he's not thinking very much,
That's a footsie, it's called.
Yep.
You put your foot in there and you almost a little for your foot and you
Like jump
skip over the strings that went around. But the funny part is, this is very basic and simple, and I happened to run into the updated version of this ad in ours the other day, and it requires a battery, it lights up, it glitters, it has a ball, and I mean, it's ridiculous.
So you gotta go like this.
Sandy, go Sandy.
So you have to make a circle with your foot this way and jump over it with each one.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Didn't you have that?
I used to have one, yeah.
They wouldn't allow me to do it anymore anyway.
Double Dutch.
What do you remember from growing up?
I was always a stuffed animal person, and I actually, I was having sort of like these terrible flashbacks sitting here because my one dog that I had got left behind in a motel, and yeah, I mean, I treat him still like I'm traumatized by it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, yeah, we couldn't go back. It's like too far. It was like, yeah.
When it was your lovey, you know, you never, that happened to my brother. He had this spotted stuffed dog, and he was really gross because you know, just loved too much, and then my mother threw him away. And my brother's 58, and he still hasn't forgotten.
Well,
Boy.
tell him he has my empathy.
I will. Bill, what do you remember from growing up?
Well, toy trains, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have any today?
No. Nothing.
So we thought this would be a fun program, just with the holidays coming up, to talk about toys and just remember, think back to the good old days. And so anyway, I'm again Sarah Vetter from Library's Community Engagement Team on behalf of Linda Rock and Glenna Gudinski. Thanks for coming. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.